Okay, we have to talk about Congress versus the UFO control group. This is one of the most important issues, if not the most important issue facing ufology, is the existing cover-up that has, been around forever. That David Grush says has probably assassinated people, rearing its ugly head to assert control of Congress. It's already co-opted Arrow. It has strong hooks in the Pentagon forever. So what about Congress, right? That's really the critical question, since Congress is the one passing legislation on this stuff and actually, hopefully, pushing the ball forward. But to what end? How far are they going to push it, right? Ross Coulthard has some very strong words about all of this, and Kirsten Gillibrand especially gets called out in what you're about to see, but it goes beyond her, of course, and we'll get into that as well. Okay, let's hear what Ross has to say.
I know you've got sources in Congress. What are your sources saying about the possibility of another UFO hearing?
Yes, well, good evening, Brian. Look, they're concerned. At the moment, we've got great momentum with what's been achieved with the hearing. There's significant media interest, and it's refreshing and quite lovely to see the bipartisan approach being made by different politicians on both sides of the House. But what I'm hearing is that for a public hearing to take place, which is a very different proposition from the private hearings in secure or sensitive compartmented information facilities, SCIFs, that have been taking place for the last 2 years, in order for that kind of public hearing to take place, an inquisitorial hearing where people are subpoenaed, called before a public committee and asked to give evidence under oath, including, hopefully, first-hand witnesses from the Legacy program, it really does require the Senate Intelligence Committee, and particularly Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, the senator from New York, to step up and heed growing public opinion on this issue. I'm pretty confident she's certainly motivated to do that, but I'm aware that there's a significant pushback going on at the moment from the Defense Department and sections of the intelligence community who frankly do not want the sterilizing disinfectant of sunlight shone on some of the issues that we're talking about.
So there you go. Ross Coulthard says Kirsten Gillibrand is motivated on the UFO issue, but maybe the control group, some other entity, has reared its ugly head and is exerting pressure on her, potentially, to get her to back off. And indeed, Kirsten Gillibrand does seem quite motivated in this clip from, I think it was about a year ago. You'll see her talking very enthusiastically about making some progress on the UFO issue, and she even has some glowing words to say about Sean Kirkpatrick.
Understand what the mission is. So I met the guy who's in charge of the office. He understands he's supposed to work with the private sector and all the people who have all the data and information. He's also asked to go back and look at all of the archival data. He has not been able to get access to it. As you can imagine, it's probably siloed in all sorts of places.
Yes, ma'am, it is.
And so his job is to try to get access to all of it. And if he can't, I said, just go forward. If you can't get the historic stuff, get within the private sector, get the private sector data like FAA data, correlate it, investigate all the other things that are current, and just create a state-of-the-art office. And he's committed, and they're taking it seriously. They're not going to hide it, because there's so many of us now on the Intel Committee and Armed Services that we're going to stand by the service members who documented this stuff. They have video, they have radar, they have heat sensors, they have everything.
Materials.
They have it. So I'm not going to let it go. I'm 100% committed, and if you have information you want to help.
Yes, I do, very much so.
She's 100% committed, and Sean Kirkpatrick is not going to hide this stuff. So what happened? Well, Sean Kirkpatrick, of course, was clearly an agent of the control group from the very beginning, but Kirsten Gillibrand does not seem to have been. She seems very enthusiastic, really trying to get something going on this, and committed to disclosure. She says she's 100% committed. And I believe her at this time. I think she was genuinely trying to get some action going, get some progress going on the UFO issue. So what happened? Well, Tim Burchett gives us a clue as to what might have gone down.
And that's what's going on. I would encourage you all to start in the media, it's public record, and the public, to start looking at these financial disclosures of these elected officials, the ones that are at top positions, and just see what gravy train they're on, and you might see why they don't push push the envelope on any of these important questions.
Well, it's interesting.
So is that the problem? Is it money? Did Kirsten Gillibrand get threatened by having her funding revoked and her donations revoked if she continued to pushing this issue? Or is it something more overt and, scary or something altogether different? What do you think, guys? What pressure was brought on Kirsten Gillibrand to get her to back off? Or do you think maybe she didn't back off at all, that, this is a long game and we can't look at it in a short-sighted way? Because Gillibrand outwardly is still very much beating the drum. So this is a recent article from today. Gillibrand calls for more information on UFOs following whistleblower testimony. Following testimony by 3 military veterans before a House committee on allegations about secret government programs involving UFOs, Kirsten Gillibrand said she's taking the issue seriously and is pressing the Department of Defense for more information. There are very serious allegations that we have to get to the bottom of, Gillibrand said. Gillibrand said the Defense Department hasn't responded to her request for more information and she doesn't know why. I don't know, Gillibrand said. I don't know why. I don't know if it doesn't exist. I don't know if we're not asking the right questions. I don't know. I just know I have nothing to confirm these allegations. To me, that doesn't sound sincere. To me, that sounds like somebody has gotten to her. She has nothing to confirm these allegations. Really? Well, David Grush testified to the Intelligence Committees 2 years ago. Guess who's on the Intelligence Committee in the Senate? She is. In fact, Ross Coulthart said she is instrumental to this whole affair making any progress. But I don't mean to just target Kirsten Gillibrand. Obviously, the problem goes way beyond her, and the Intelligence Committees seem like they have been co-opted by the control group, which, would be a logical place for them to seek to co-opt. Because the intelligence committees, it's all very secret, and the intelligence agencies are heavily involved in the control group. So let's hear from another intelligence committee member. This congressman is on the Intelligence Committee, and on a recent interview with Maria Bartiromo, he has some intriguing words to say. Let's listen.
Maria, I always love it when you have somebody who comes forward and testifies about things that they don't know anything about. I mean, the most, I think, striking aspect of all of the testimony was repeatedly over and over again, the whistleblowers had to say, actually, I don't have any knowledge of this. Somebody else told me that. I mean, really, this would take thousands and thousands of people for such an unbelievable cover-up to be occurring. And for people to speak with such confidence over something that they do not know is, I think, something certainly everybody needs to be concerned about.
So there you go. Another Intelligence Committee member denying it all, talking about these unfounded allegations. David Grush is making it all up. And now keep in mind that David Grush supplied the evidence of his claims, the classified evidence, the proof of these reverse engineering programs, the UFO crash retrievals and reverse engineering programs. He supplied them to the intelligence committees of both chambers of Congress 2 years ago. So this gentleman right here, who is on the Intelligence Committee in the Senate, is just lying out of his teeth. And that appears to be what Kirsten Gillibrand is doing as well. I'm very sad to say that. I was hoping she would emerge as a heroine of ufology, but she and Marco Rubio have really let me down. I hope they are secretly pushing the ball forward behind the scenes, but that doesn't appear to be what is going on. Remember, she said, we have nothing to confirm these allegations. Well, actually, she does have something to confirm the allegations, because David Grush gave her and the other Intelligence Committee members the names of the people involved in these programs, the locations of these programs, the actual physical locations of these recovered UFOs. So there's no legitimate reason why Congress, the intelligence committees, couldn't have gone to these locations 2 years ago, got a live press conference, stood atop a UFO, and said, world, we are not alone. Now, of course, I'm on the outside looking in, but it strongly appears as if the intelligence committees, probably in both chambers of Congress, have been compromised on the UFO issue. And that's what Tim Burchett said months ago, is that people on both sides of the aisle in Congress had been compromised on the UFO issue. And I hate to say it, but it appears as though he was correct. So what is our hope going forward? Well, it's probably the bipartisan effort to establish a select committee, a permanent congressional body to investigate the UFO issue. Now, it's going to be really interesting to see if that does come into being. And that's exactly what we need, is for a permanent body in the Congress to look into this stuff and to report it to the public. But according to the Schumer Rounds amendment, if that does get passed into law, and it looks like some version of it will, that's going to establish another committee to receive the information from Arrow and possibly elsewhere, and to serve as a gatekeeper for the public, to release whatever they choose to release to the public. And I am not persuaded at all, if the establishment has stepped in to steer this conversation and control the narrative, that they are going to be releasing what we would want them to release. So if there's already this gatekeeping committee, this committee of 9, how is that going to interact with this proposed a new select committee proposed by Moskowitz and Gates and others to look into the UFO issue honestly and openly? Are they going to butt heads? Is one of them going to swallow the other one? Is the Gates and Moskowitz select committee going to be, prevented from coming into being because of this gatekeeping committee? What would be the interplay between those two committees if both of them did come into being? One of them on the side of the angels, one of them on the side of the cover-up, potentially. Anyway, that's my take on all of this. I think Congress has got serious issues with the control group and with the legacy programs, the cover-up, whatever you want to call it. There's some serious shenanigans going on behind the scenes, but there do seem to be some dedicated, sincere actors that have not yet been co-opted by the control group. Will that happen? Will Tim Burchett say next month, hey, there's no such thing as aliens, I was wrong all along? Well, hopefully not. I think that would be too obvious, honestly, but you never know. But let me know what you guys think about all of this in the comments below. And if you have enjoyed this video, please give me a big thumbs up. Sure would appreciate it. Smash the subscribe button and the bell to be notified of future videos. You don't want to miss a thing. Join me on social media. There's Facebook and Twitter links below. Love to see you guys there. And there's plenty of other videos to check out on the channel. Until next time, this is Jack with Cosmic Road, signing out.